I love cooking with honey. I'm going to make a steamed sponge pudding flavoured with honey and ginger. And the first thing we need to do is make the sponge base. So into the mixer, I'm going to throw some flour, some sugar. There we go. Right, some butter and some eggs. Whole eggs, in they go. Crack them straight in. And then finally, I'm going to add some honey. Right, put all those bits in there and mix the whole thing together. Now, the last thing I'm going to add to this is some chopped stem ginger. In that goes. And give that a final mix. Now, that's our basic sponge batter. What we need to do now is butter the mould. I'm a bit of a belt and braces man, so I like to make sure that it's going to turn out. There we go, a little bit of butter there. Now, at the base of the pudding bowl, we're going to put some more honey, because any self-respecting steamed sponge pudding always has something to dribble down the sides. Right, the sponge batter on top of the honey in the base of the bowl, and just sort of 3/4 fill the bowl. Right, now the reason we're leaving a little gap there is because the whole thing is going to rise up as it cooks. But we're going to put a lid on top of that and then a double length of string. Right, OK, and then this pudding then goes into a steamer because it's the steam that's going to cook it, not the water in the bottom of the pan. Get yourself a piece of foil and just bend it up at the ends and pop that in first, because that is how you're going to lift the pudding out without ending up with third-degree burns. So we just pop that on top of the foil and then make sure it's steaming, turn it up a little bit, and pop the lid on. OK, now remember that bit of foil we put in? It's going to save the day. You look at that, perfect. Now, for some people, certain bits of music remind them of parts of their life. For me, it's food. And I can remember when I was a young apprentice chef surviving on 30 quid a month, one of the joys of life was buying one of those boil in the tin steamed sponge puddings. And just smelling this reminds me of that. Oh, it's fantastic. Look at that. Here is the tricky bit, getting it out of the container. We need a plate. There we are. And then give it a squeeze around the edges, like that. And then, hopefully, we turn that over. Oh, baby, look at that. Now, you can either invite some friends round, or you could lock the door and scoff the lot. Higher demand for honey means an increase in beekeeping, beehives, and ultimately more worker bees.
It's a fascination. I mean, you know, there are puns in beekeeping, and I'm really bewitched by the way that a little insect, no bigger than your little fingernail, can do so much work. A colony of bees is a big community, all working with one aim.
And a bigger bee population is good for agriculture, as farmers pay for hives to be placed near crops to ensure pollination.
In this country, the value of bees is actually higher in the work it does to pollinate crops than in the honey it produces.
Bee farming is rural, but increasingly city consumers want their food to be produced locally. For the bees, that means one thing: a move to the urban jungle.
Bees are great at adapting. They work really well in an urban environment. They can really sort of settle in really quickly, and within a few sort of hours there'll be nectar and pollen coming in.
"30 metres above one of London's most exclusive streets, over 100,000 bees are set to become the most streetwise in the country."
And that's something quite special, really. Such a busy, busy city. There's so much going on. And then up there, there's all this lovely sort of calmness and sort of all these bees sort of going about their business, really. There's fantastic nectar sources in London, really, for these bees. You've got St James's Park, you've got Hyde Park, you've got fantastic gardens and rooftops for the bees to forage on.
Unlike their country cousins, urban bees can't favour a single type of flower. There's simply not enough. So they're forced to forage from a variety, and that makes urban honey taste totally unique. Now, in my house, it's my job to make the kids pack lunches. And the culinary police have banned chocolate. So every day I send them off with a cereal bar. It's a fantastic array of really, really healthy ingredients. So we're going to start off with some oats, which we're going to chuck into a bowl there. And on top of that, we're going to put some granola, which I often have as cereal in the mornings. There we go. Some almonds, very good for your nuts. And some dried cherries and some dried cranberries. OK, so stick the pan on there, put some butter in. I'm just going to melt that down, and into the butter, I'm going to put some cinnamon and some vanilla. Now, I'm just going to split the vanilla pod down and scrape out the seeds. And the reason we add it to the butter is because vanilla flavour molecule is fat soluble. Shut that in there. Along with the vanilla, we put a pinch of cinnamon, give it a bit of spice, lovely. And finally, into there, we're going to put some Manuka honey. Now, any honey could be used in this, but I really like this Manuka honey because it's got almost a deep caramel bouquet to it. The great thing about putting honey in a bar like this is that they've got a lower glycemic index than sugar. So instead of getting that big sugar rush, you get a slow release of energy. So it's perfect for something like the kids' lunchboxes. Now, once that's melted down, all you got to do is pour it over your dried mix. Get it all in there, and then we're going to give that a mix around, making sure that everything gets coated with the butter and the honey. Once you've got it all mixed around, it goes from the bowl into a tray. And all we've done is line the tray with some greaseproof paper. Now, all we're going to do is empty this into the tray and then pack it down with a spoon. And once that's done, I'm going to pop them in the oven, 7 or 8 minutes, really just to toast the top of the biscuit, give it a nice crispy finish. Look at that. That looks absolutely beautiful. Needs one little finishing touch in my eyes. Bit naughty, white chocolate. There we go. Right. Should be able to cut through it. Quick tester. Oh, that is way too good for the kids. They're not getting any of that. I'm off to run the marathon. I suggest you unhealthy lot get stuck into that. Well, I can't get enough quick enough.